What is good, YouTube? Quinn Wade coming to y'all with the NBA mock draft from Analysis Playground. Obviously, I want to give you guys my thoughts on the NBA draft. Who should go number one? Who should trade up? Who should trade down? Who should trade for other players so they can have a different type of roster without rookies if they don't want them? And overall, just looking at some of these players coming into the league and showing you and telling you how I feel at what they can be and what they can do if they do get drafted. I think it's always going to be fun to do these videos. It's something I look forward to. Um, Number one, most people have Cooper Flag going there to the Dallas Mavericks. He's a defender. He can score the basketball. He has the athleticism, everything you really need from a number one overall pick. He's a safe guy to pick because you know what he can bring to the table if he's healthy. And he's the guy that's the most NBA ready, in my personal opinion, besides a couple other guys. And obviously, those guys going to be quick picks for people to take. And you want to draft the best player available if you don't have a guy you're for sure on. And Cooper Flag is a guy most people are for sure on. Remember, this is just my opinion. It doesn't matter what I think because the Mavericks going to pick whoever they want to and whoever they feel like can fit what they're trying to do. But I do have the analysis that Cooper Flag is just the perfect guy for their situation just because he can play off the ball or on the ball. He can pass, he can rebound, he can get out in transition, and he does match well with Kyrie and Anthony Davis, even though they might not be there for his whole tenure. But it is good to have a guy that you can build around and hopefully have some success with. So I would agree with the consensus that Cooper Flag is that guy that they should be drafting number one. And even if they don't draft him, he's going to be the guy you're going to want to trade up if you can to get. But you're going to have to give up a lot because he's just that much of a sure thing. And teams don't take that lightly, especially when they have him falling right in their lap because nobody really seen the Dallas Mavericks actually winning this draft lottery, which they ended up doing yesterday. But other than that, he's one of the best wings that you can get in a while, and he's been able to show that. So we'll see what he does. And then number two, a lot of people want the Spurs to trade out of this, but when we think about it, it makes a little sense because they have Devin Vassell, they have Keldon Johnson, they already have guys that can score and handle the ball. They have De'Aaron Fox. And then it just become an overload of, is we just going to draft the best talent available, or is we going to trade out of this and move down and get somebody else that we like at a different position? But I think Dylan Harper is a tough guy to pass up on. He can pass the ball a little bit. He can score from the paint. He can score from the perimeter. He's a guy that can rebound the ball at a good level for his size. The guy is an athlete. He is very smart, has a decent IQ. And I think that those things do factor in of knowing that this is another guy that can come in and play right away and make an impact and give you double figures. He might not be the most efficient because most rookies struggle defensively. Most rookies struggle offensively. And I think that he's going to have some of those problems coming into the league, but you just have to live with them and continue to let him mature and continue to let him figure things out and see if he's going to challenge himself to be one of the best players in the world. And that's going to be the question. How hungry is he? How much do we want it? How much is he going to strive for it? And other than that, the man can score, the man can shoot, the man can pass, and the man understands how to play the game the right way. And then people say, is he a winning player? I would say, yeah, like you do have to play with what you have, even in the NBA. Luckily, the Spurs have one of the best players in the world already. And Victor Wembanyama, he's easy to play with because you're going to be driving and kicking and passing anyway. And he's a stretch big that can finish in the paint also and protect you defensively. And on top of that, like I said, you still do have other guys like Fox and stuff like that. But it is a little bit of a log jam for the Spurs for the perimeter. I don't know if they're going to be crazy over going after Dylan Harper also when they already have guys under contract too for a little bit longer. So it is draft the best talent available or trade for some pieces that make sense for you now. Either way, the Spurs in a situation where they're not going to lose, regardless of the decision that they make, because should they even have the number 2 pick is a question that you should be asking yourself if you're a fan of basketball anyway. Next, I will say most people have Ace Bailey. He is a guy that really was hurt by the teammates that he had. I don't think that that's an excuse. He just has to learn how to play off players better, but he has the ability to do that because he has the length to be able to be a cutter and a transition player. He has the ability to knock down threes and mid ranges, and you do have to make the tough ones because it's going to be late shot clock situations that you have to be able to have a guy that's confident enough to take them and make them. And he is a guy that still has upside. These guys are so young that, yeah, their bodies might be where you want them to be, or their skill level might not be where you want to be, especially in the Ace Bailey conversation. But you still have to look at it like this guy is going to be with your roster. He's going to be under your supervision. He's going to be seeing a lot of people that can get him to the level that he needs to be. Then it's just about does he have the work ethic and can he contend, with the defense at the NBA level. I think that people are underrating that part of his game. Is he's going to commit to playing defense? Is he going to play hard? Is he going to be able to make rebounds? Is he going to be able to make the extra passes instead of taking the shot? It just fitting in the flow of the offense. I think that he needs to work on at the NBA level because he's going to have guys that can score. He's going to have guys that's better than him right away, especially if he goes to a team like Philadelphia. And I just don't see him being a perfect fit there because they already have so many wings like Quentin Grimes and Paul George and Lonnie Walker. And I know they're not going to be there long term, but that also hurts your development because you get better the more that you play. The more that you play, the more chances you have of getting better and learning something from experience. And I think that that's something that we should continue to look at when we look at a guy like Ace Bailey. And I think that that's going to be something interesting to find and see, like, the challenge of trying to be great when you have the teammates that believe in you and a coaching staff that believes in you and also organization. And is that going to be Philly? Because Philly looks like a team that's still in win now mode. And if they're in win now mode, Ace Bailey not going to really do much for them right now because he does need, to develop the basics and the fundamentals and the body to really become an impact player in this league. So although he might be the best player you can get at number 3, we know that Daryl Morey and those guys like to take gambles. They like to take risks, and they like to be putting the best talent that they can on the roster, even if it's getting another superstar. So Ace Bailey may not be the greatest pick for him, but he still should be the 3rd player off the board when it comes to talent available, the best that you can get. But VJ Edgecombe, a lot of people have been liking him. He's been good since high school. Most of these players have been some of the better high school players, and they were just able to prove it in college that they can do it at the next level. And now they want to do it at the highest level. He's a guy that has a good motor. He has good defense. He has the ability to play off the ball with his 3-point shooting. He has the ability to get to the rim. He has the ability to get out in transition. And he has the ability to interrupt and disrupt and cause turnovers and make good plays on the ball. And that allows him to get some good opportunities if he's not really doing much in the half court. The question is, what is he going to do in the half court besides shoot threes and cut to the basket? We're going to see if his ball handling and his playmaking or his scoring can be taken to another level as he gets used to playing for a living in the NBA. Like I said, this is your job now. So you have to go out there and perform as best as you can and do as many things as you can to help your team win. We're going to see that tested by VJ. That's going to be the thing, because most people think he can do those things at the highest level. We just got to see proof of it. And Summer League is going to be huge for him. Preseason going to be huge for him because Charlotte is a team that he can fit right in and play well with those guys, and he is a guy that they need. So it wouldn't be surprised if he had a big role on the team, especially if he can stay healthy. But the upside will be, can he be an all-star? Can he be a Victor Oladipo type of player? Can he knock down those shots that's open? And can they create for him and he can create for them and play off of each other? That's going to be the thing I'm looking forward to in VJ Edgecombe. But I don't really think Charlotte, if they can get up higher, I can see them wanting somebody like Ace Bailey. I can see them wanting somebody like Dylan Harper. But if they can't do that, VJ Edgecombe ain't that bad of a player. You know, he's a guy that has the same type of upside, being an all-star that they do. But he's definitely most likely going to be on the board. So you're not going to complain about that if you're a team like Charlotte, because they're looking for any type of talent with upside. And he's definitely an all-star caliber player in the future. If he puts the work in and he stays healthy, he definitely has that type of style that it can work out for him that way. And Charlotte wouldn't mind taking him. Jeremiah Fears, this is a guy that some people have lower, or some people just riding that coattail of him right now. So I don't even know if Utah is going to take him. They already have a lot of guys like Isaiah Collier and stuff like that. So I don't know if they're just going to draft him because he's the best player they can get at that position, or do they just go for a player that they really like, that at the end of the day they don't really care what people think. Like I said, Fears is an 18-year-old guy. He does have the speed. He does have the athleticism. He does have the shot making ability. He does have the body, kind of, that you want when you're looking at a person with upside. But, you can say that about a lot of young players in this draft. And this is a team that has a lot of young prospects and a lot of guys that's showing you that they can play. Do you package up a deal to get somebody better? Do you just take the guy because you feel like he is the best player you can get and you don't really want to give up nothing significant to get another project that you got to work on and build back up? Well, it's going to be a tough situation for the Jazz to pick, because they are a team that doesn't really have scary talent. They're a team that ain't that far from being a playoff team when it comes to the players that you need to be successful in the modern NBA. And I think Jeremiah Fears can be that guy at the point guard or the guard position in general, as he still is growing at 18, and I think he stopped growing at 21. So he has a chance to even be bigger and even more trouble in the NBA. But if they pick him number 5, I wouldn't be surprised. And if they didn't, I would look at it like, well, they just feel like they have a log jam like the Spurs at the position, and they just want to trade down to get somebody they actually want while still getting something of value in the draft. But he's a guy that if you pass on him, I don't know if you're going to be blowing your brains out. But if you do decide to take him, I don't think you'll be mad at that either, because of his upside and the fact that you have a lot of young talent on your team. So there's really no rush of him being great right away. And that's why it makes sense of taking him. But the Wizards, they have a situation where they're going to be getting some guys that already play their positions for their young guys, like Bub Carrington and Jordan Poole. Most people have Trey Johnson going to the Wizards. That's going to be interesting, because the fact that they already have a bunch of guards too. But he is a good guy. Like, the guy can finish in the paint. The guy can pass. The guy can defend a little bit. But he's going to have to up that the more he plays in the NBA. He's just going to have to figure out the fundamentals of the game just to keep it easy. Just make the right pass, make the right play, make the right stops, and those are things that he can't really do at the highest level just now. But number 6, you're getting a project if you take Trey Johnson. He has good upside. He has some things that you feel like he can figure out and you want him to figure out if you're going to take him at number 6. But the Wizards, can they develop him? Can they get the best from him? Can they put the right teammates around him? Can he really become what he needs to be in a place like Washington? I think that's a legitimate question and a legitimate concern, but it's something that they are going to have to figure out if they go with them. But they can go Malachi, I think his name is, if I'm butchering his name, I apologize, out of Duke. I think he can be a solid player for them too, a big, strong body. That's what they need besides Alex Hart, because Alex Hart is a guy that likes to play the power forward position or the center position. Maybe you go double big. They do have another big, obviously, but he's not going to be as young and a guy like this guy. So, he can be number 6 too. And if they want to go with Trey Johnson. I think that is just going to give them a guy that has that goals type of style to him where he's going to be something that's attractive, and that's something that you need too. You got to be able to consolidate. If you don't have the guy that you want, you need to be able to build up the asset pool to be able to make a trade for the player that you do want, even if it's in the future. And I feel like getting one of these guys that's in this area, even if you add in a Con Knipple in that situation, who's also a guard, that's more of a sure thing. You can still look at it like, well, we just get the best player we can get, package it together to get something in the future when we feel like we need to get a player of need to take that next step and be a playoff team again. And then the New Orleans Pelicans, I don't really see them, doing nothing crazy. They're going to just trade, or if they don't, they're just going to get the best talent available because their season was ruined just because of injuries. They don't really have a need that's glaring. They have a guard, they have forwards, they have Herb, they have Trey Murphy. He's coming back from an injury just like Herb. They have Zion, they have DeJounte, CJ McCollum, they have E. Misi. So maybe they do go with Kaman. I think that's how you say his name, because they need a big to go as a backup, or they need somebody with higher upside than Eves. But if they don't want to go in that direction, they can always go with Khan. And Khan is a guy that we know can shoot, he can score, he can play. It makes sense for them to try to get the guy that they really feel like can fit what they're trying to do and help them right away as they're still trying to make the playoffs in the Western Conference. And they do have the talent to be able to do it if they're healthy. It's just about coaching and just about finding a way to get the guys on the same page and play well together. And I feel like these guys are more understanding and they're more seasoned players, and that's good to have in these positions when you're still trying to push for the playoffs and you need guys that can come in and contribute right away. In Brooklyn, they're looking like getting Khan or a center. You can say Colin Murphy is a good fit because you do need somebody, because I don't think Nicholas Claxton is a legitimate big that should be starting in the NBA if you're trying to win games. He just doesn't have the strength. He just doesn't have the dominance and rebounding. He just doesn't have the ability to space the floor. So I can see them trying to go for a big right here because they know that that's something they're going to need, is somebody that can anchor their defense. And if they don't go for a big, then Khan be that guy that can come in and score a little bit and space the floor for them and give them some ball handling. So, I think that will be a good pick too. So they can't go wrong. Get some guys on the board that they can risk and go for a gamble on and try to play the upside game. And if they just want to go with a guy that gives them something steady, Khan is the guy for them at number 8. And then the Raptors, you can say the same thing about them. They're just trying to get as much talent as they can get and see what offers are out there for them throughout the year. And if they see nothing, just keep everything together until that big trade is out there. But Colin Murphy is the people that think he's going to go number 9. He's a he's a good guy. I think that he showed that he has the basics that's needed, other than being short for the position. He can really just use effort and motor to really make plays. But I like the fact that he is a guy that can give you effort and energy. Those type of players are always valuable in the NBA, and he has the ability to bring that to any team that he's going to be on. And then you look at the Rockets. They're looking at I don't want to butcher his name, but the point guard out of Illinois, Kyle Peras, I think is something similar to that. But he's a good player, and he's a guy that has upside. The Rockets, they're a team that's trying to bolster that bench. They don't really need too many starters. And if they're going to want a starter, they're going to go with more of a veteran one. But I think that you have to make a decision. What do you want to do with Fred VanVleet? Because he's a guy that really showed up in the playoffs, but he was hit or miss because his jump shot is his bread and butter. If his jump shot is falling, then you have a great player. If his jump shot not falling that night, then he's not really going to do much for you. And I think that maybe you want a guy with more upside at that point guard position that can grow with your young players. And then you want to bring them along and teach them the game and show them the game and see if he can help you win in the future, since your team is always going to be based on the future because they're just that young and you're committed to that core group of guys. So I think that it makes sense to go for the higher upside pick and try to take that gamble and take that risk on a guy that you like already and you think you would need, and there's no problem with doing that. But I can see the Rockets saying, well, we can get somebody interesting, or we can get a veteran, or we can get another pick. We rather just have that than draft at number 10. If that happens, I can see it too. Portland, they're stuck between having bigs and guards already. They just have to take the best guy they can get just to see if it's even worth it. That's going to always be the tough part when you have as much young talent as they have already. Who do we really want to develop? Who do we really want to bring in? Who do we really think we need, considering that we have everything that we feel like we need? But Derek Queen, I think he's interesting because a lot of people have him going in this range. But, Portland don't really need another center. I think that he does have upside. I think he is a skilled guy. I think that he really does a lot of things that you like in a big. But if you drafted him, you're just drafting him because he's the player that you feel is the best you can get. Igor is another guy that they can take in that situation from BYU. He's a guard that can score, but like I said, they have Anthony Simons, they have Scoot Henderson. So he's not going to really get that much time and that much playing time because those guys already have shown that they can play at the NBA level, and they are good prospects still that can develop into something good. Plus, they have Shaden Sharp, so I don't really know. Do they want to go with Queen? Do they want to go with Igor? Do they want to go with Jace Richardson? None of these guys will be bad. None of these guys will be a problem if you drafted them. It's just about making that decision of who you want to get in that spot and not regretting it, because these guys probably not going to be around on your team that long. Or you can just trade down and get somebody else that you like and just get something interesting too. Igor for the Chicago Bulls, he's going to be probably the pick that they take just because he has the most upside at that situation. And for him to be as big and as quick, I think he can do a lot of things that can help flatten the offense of the Chicago Bulls and make it simpler. And I think that that's what they want to do in Chicago anyway. And they have shown that they can do it. So, they already have some young pieces there. I think he'll fit right in. I think he will get minutes and opportunity. That's all that you really want if you're the Bulls, because you was a playing team. You don't want to go too far backwards because you're not really out of anything, because you're not really a championship team or a contender even after the draft, what you knew, because most drafts don't really have guys that can really come in and give you 30 or 25. And I think Igor is just a guy that makes more sense for them. But Jace Richardson wouldn't be that bad either. He's a guy that is a for sure thing, and that doesn't hurt going with those type of guys. Plus, he can play multiple positions too. So it will always be something that they can go in that direction if they feel like they don't want to trade it, or they feel like they got a guy that they like already. Might as well just take him. And if they don't take Jace Richardson, he can play for the Hawks. The Hawks, they're basically good as long as they get Jalen Johnson and Trae Young healthy. They're going to be a team that's going to be tough to beat. They prove that every year, that they have a system and they have players that function in that system, and it just makes sense for them to get a lot of play. I can see Derek Queen, if he falls, going to Atlanta, because Atlanta is looking for another big at that center position. And then you look at the guards that they can get, they don't really have that much trouble. They're not going to get a superstar. They're not most likely not going to get an all-star either. So now just get a plug-and-play guy in that system, kind of like what they did with Zachary Richardson. It didn't hurt him, but it also didn't help him that much. And I think that that's going to be the same situation this year for them in the draft. The San Antonio Spurs, Carter Bryant is who they are looking at. Like I said, they are in a situation where they have a lot of young talent. So you don't really know what direction they're going to go in or what they're going to try to do. It does make sense for them to try to find a way to package some things together and get a guy that they're for sure on, whether that's in, free agency, whether that's in just trading a pick for a veteran or a guy that's kind of a veteran like De'Aaron Fox type of guy. They have the ability to put together a package to do that. And I do like the fact that they got a high pick and also got a decent lottery pick with the 14th. And they still have great players on their team that can really help out other teams, especially if you package them together. But if not, Carter Bryant is a good pick. He's going to give them defense. He's going to give them passing. He's going to give them scoring. He's going to give them length and size. He's going to give them a guy that has the ability to come right in and play some decent basketball for them if he gets on the court, which is going to be tough to do because they have a lot of those type of guys already on their roster. But we don't know what the Spurs are trying to do. We don't know what they're looking at when it comes to talent they're trying to acquire. We don't know what type of player they're trying to get. Obviously, people saying they need to go all in on Giannis. They do have some things that they can throw at the Bucks that's going to be very interesting, but we still have to see if they really want to put a 30-plus-year-old with a bunch of 20-year-olds and try to help them figure out how to win with Giannis. Because is it Wemby's team? Is it Giannis' team? Can he make enough shots from the perimeter? Can he score enough points with Giannis by him? And can that really be a team that can win a championship? We don't know, but it is an interesting idea that a lot of people throwing out there. Another pick that they can possibly get is Nolan. Um, he's more of a project in my personal opinion, but we'll have to see what he's going to do. I think they're just better off getting Carter. A team like OKC, they always get these type of players like Nolan, the Case and Wallaces, the Aaron Wiggins, the Alex Caruso's, and those type of guys. So I don't see them really making that much different. Plus, they don't really need the talent anyway. They have so many guys that they just picking just for the sake of picking. So they're going to go with somebody that's a little safe. And I think Nolan is a safe guy for them. And they're getting that pick via Miami. So it makes sense that they can go for Will Riley too, which I think that they should go with Will Riley, at 15. If he's on the board, it makes sense to go there because he's a versatile scorer and a shot maker. That's something that he can possibly be at the NBA level. You have a bunch of those type of guys, but you rather load up on the wings because this is a wing lead. If you have a bunch of wings that can shoot and can space the floor, you have a great chance of being one of the best teams in the league, like the Thunder has been the last couple years. And you always want to have a guy that if somebody gets injured or somebody gets in foul trouble, well, we can just throw out this guy and we can just throw out that guy and never really lose advantage. So, you're going to get a guard or a wing most likely in this situation. So you might as well go with the guy that you feel like can give you the most. And if he off the board, then you just might as well go with Nolan. If you can't go Nolan, then you probably just go Danny Wolf. And I think that that's not a bad pick either because you have Chet Holmgren. If that is something that you look at, if Chet goes to the bench or Hartenstein goes to the bench, then you look at it, well, we'll just go out there and put Wolf at the power forward position. So, the Thunder have a lot of options. They have a lot of things that they have to look at, but they're in a good situation still because they're not in a desperate need of talent and they can always bring guys along slowly because they already have a bunch of talent from top to bottom. Will Riley, like I said, might go to Orlando too because they're going to look at it like he has a lot of upside and a lot of potential. Plus, we need those type of guys because we struggle in scoring, and he's a guy that can possibly help us out on that and even probably be a starter for us, depending on how his development go the next couple months. Danny Wolf, some people have him going higher, some people have him going to Minnesota. I don't honestly think that it matters that much. He's going to be fine just making it to the NBA and getting a nice check of making his dreams come true and playing at the highest level. But I would say he's going to be a good pick. He should be going before the 20s get going. So as long as he's close to the lottery or in that conversation, I think even a team like Minnesota will look at it like this is a guy that we can use. This is a guy that can be helpful to us. So why not take him? Especially because you don't know what's going to happen with Julius Randle either. So um, he can be a little bit of an insurance policy if that doesn't work out and fit right into what they already doing in Minnesota. No, Nua, uh, he's a guy that he's young, so you're gonna look at it like what can he really do at the highest level right away? And the thing about it is, and since it's the Wizards and they already have a bunch of young talent, he'll just be another guy with high upside. So you looking at it, can I go for somebody of value, or can I go with somebody that can really turn into something special? Because most people are not going to sign a contract to come play for the Wizards. So you just figure out how to win with what you get from the draft. And that's the mentality that they're going to have in this situation. So you want to go with a guy with all-star capabilities too. And we'll see if he's going to become that. If not, it's still not going to be a wasted pick because somebody's going to be interested in taking a flyer on him. So maybe you get a second rounder anyway. Some of these players are going to be second round type of picks anyway, depending on what draft it is. So maybe you look at it that way too. You can always go with Joan. If Joan goes there, I wouldn't be surprised. Like I said, I do think they can get a Derek Queen. If they don't want to get Derek Queen, they can always wait a little bit and get Joan, and they get that big man anyway. The Brooklyn Nets, I feel the same way. If you can't get Queen, maybe just go with Joan. He is 18, so he has the body. He has what he needs to be a player in the future. There's no real rush with them. There's no real rush to win in Brooklyn right now because they got rid of all their team and stripped their roster. So I think it makes sense for them to look at him and say, well, we can add him to our team and maybe he becomes a starter within 2 to 3 years and becomes that big bruiser type of guy for us instead of another team. Miami at 20. Some people like Liam. He might go higher. I'm not going to lie about that out of UConn, but he also can be a guy that can fall a little bit. And Miami usually catches those guys all the time. So I think that makes sense. The guy he's a bucket. He can score. He's tough. He got a good feel for the game and understanding of what he should do at his position. But Miami can break him. Miami can mend him and mold him into the guy that they want him to be. They do got some guards and some wings, but we know Miami needs more scoring and more spacing. So I think that he would be a guy that you would look into if you Miami and say, well, if he's here, we're still getting a good player that can come in right now and give us at least 5 to 10 points when he does play. That's something that you really should be interested in if you're a team like Miami. And I think that makes sense for him to go there. You can always go with Asia. But I think that they should probably just go with Liam if he's on that part of the board late in the draft. Asia out of Georgia. He's going to be interesting. He has the size, he has the hustle, he has the mobility. I look at it like, well, Utah got a bunch of those type of guys when it comes to bigs. You rather have them space the floor than be an inside threat. Plus they already got Walker Kessler. So he could be a guy that can drop a little bit because you have some guys that's better than him or more filled out than him and can contribute right away more than him. So he could be a guy that can drop a little bit. If not, you can always go with Tomas. If you go with Tomas, I think he probably would be more of what you will want if you're Utah, if you're looking for a big, but I just don't think that they are. But they also got to draft what they can get and figure everything out later so they can go Anik too out of Colorado State. So that would be an interesting guy for them. I think that they might even take him, if he's available. And they might just say, well, we don't really need a big right now. We're still trying to figure out our team. We're still trying to figure out our identity. And we're still trying to have guys that can put the ball in the basket. So that can go that way too. Or they can just trade their picks in general and get somebody else that they like from another team. The Atlanta Hawks, like I said, Tomas might be a good pick for them. I think they're going to get a big in this draft. I wouldn't be surprised if they did, honestly, but they can get one, or get another guy that can play multiple positions like Hugo, Gonzalez, or Clifford out of Colorado. They're not going to really be mad about whoever they get because they have their starting lineup. And like I said, as long as they're healthy, they're going to be a play into a playoff team anyway. It's just about adding length, size, and depth and scoring and having guys that can do multiple things. If you're trying to be a better team, that's what you should be going for when you have the amount of picks that the Atlanta Hawks have in this draft, especially in the first round. And then the Pacers, I don't really see them doing anything crazy. Just based off their roster, they have every position filled, even on the bench. So now it's just about adding another guy that could be on the G League team or a little bit better than that. So they can go with a project and just go with somebody that can probably help them, if somebody gets in foul trouble or somebody gets suspended or something crazy like that, because they're not in a desperate need of talent, especially this late in the draft. So a Nick Clifford or a Hugo Gonzalez, a Walter Clayton might be the ideal guy for them. But if they don't want to do that, it will be interesting to see what they do. And the Thunder, we love what the Thunder have been doing. They just should go for a big. You definitely want somebody behind Hartenstein and Chet that you can just throw out there. I think Jock Landale for the Rockets was kind of like, well, we want to play Şengün as much as we want to, but it is good to have a center that can play 5 to 10 to 15 minutes and still not give up that much talent or make that many mistakes. So if you want to go with a guard, you got Walter Clayton and you got Hugo in that area. You got other bigs like I named before that can be really good in that situation. And, you can always go with Rasheer Fleming out of St. Joseph if you want a big that can do multiple things and just give you somebody that can be a depth guy at that position. That's all you can really do if you're the Thunder. Just try to get as deep as you can and get the contracts as cheap as you can. And that's basically what they've been doing. And I think you just continue that. Then Orlando Magic, like I said, I think they're just going to keep looking for wings and scorers. So if they get one in the draft, I think you just try to get another one. And Walton Clayton Jr., I love him. I love what he can do defensively. I love what he can do as a scorer, especially potentially. And I think that if you like Anthony Black and you like Tristan da Silva, you're going to like Walter Clayton Jr. So I think that that's an Orlando type of guy. So I think that they just go with him. If not, like I said, you can always go with Ben. He's going to be in that area possibly. If not, he might fall even lower. But the thing about it is these guys can be so raw that you don't really know for sure if you want to take that type of guy that early in the draft or that late in the draft because you feel like you can get them in the second round. So that's going to be a decision that they're going to have to make. The Thunder or the Magic, as they already playoff teams, they already got their core that they're building around. But the Nets are the same at this point. You're just adding as much talent as you can, regardless of the position. And Ben might be the best guy you can get at that position, or Rasheer Fleming, or even Noah Pinda out of Limons. So I like that too for the Nets. Those three guys. They actually, funny enough, they have the 26 and the 27 pick. So they can get both of those guys or all three of those guys, if we're going to be honest, depending on what they do with their higher pick. And then the Celtics, they're not going to really try to do much, probably get another wing because they like Al Horford. If he's gone, then you still got Kada, you still got Porzingis, you still got Luke Cornett. So maybe you just go with Noah Pinda just because he's the best player you can get. I think that'd make a little bit of sense to go in that direction. He's a good passer. He also can compete defensively. You want guys that want to be winners. And if you have that type of guy, then you're happy with the result. And that's all you're going to really get in this range is these guys overseas or these guys with upside that's foreigners. So maybe you just take a gamble on somebody that you like, or you just look at it like we got to get somebody that can come in and give us 5 to 15 minutes, even in a playoff game. So that's what the Celtics going to be looking for. That's what the Phoenix Suns going to be looking for if they don't blow it up. Um, they've been looking for a big that can do some multiple things. They looked for Bol. They looked at DeAndre Ayton. They got rid of him. They got rid of Yusuf Nurkic. They even tried Nick Richards. If you want a flyer on a cheap young big, Yaxel out of UAB, Michigan, can be that guy that you can try and gamble on and see if he can be the big that you think you can develop him into being. You won't be having that much of a problem with it because that's what happens. And I think that's what the Suns going to have to look at. If not, you can go with the guy out of Arkansas, Tierrero. He can be another guy that can be interesting for you as a big, and that's what the Suns are looking for, and that's what they're trying to get. He can be another project that you can look at. If not, the Clippers can get him at 30. They're a team that's still trying to figure out what they want or what they need, and I think that that's going to be something that they're going to have to look at too, because they haven't really had a bad situation or a tough situation. They're just thinking about how can you possibly get the best talent that can contribute now while still having upside in the future. And I think a lot of these guys that's foreign have always been that way. You don't have enough on them, and if you do, you just looking at it like, do I want them in the first round? Do I want them in the early second round? Or will these guys just be a draft and stash type of guy? Let's get him. Let's get him under contract, and let's see if we can actually bring him over when we feel like he can help us. And even if he's not, he can be a pretty little toy that we can jingle out in front of guys. We'll add this guy to the trade. We add this guy to the deal, and then you just look at it like, well, now we got a guy that we can actually use and probably even be a guy that can help us get to where we want to get to in a trade, or just be a guy that can fill the role in the future. Other than that, that's the first round of the draft that I had to cover, just telling you my analysis on why guys should be picked, why guys should be traded, and why the team should pick them or trade them. Think it's fun, to look at these guys as they're trying to move to the next chapter in their lives. They've been playing basketball since they was kids. Now they're teenagers. Now they about to be adults. Now they have to look at this as a job. How can I perform well? How can I play my best basketball? How can I contribute? How can I come in here and play a role? And how can I become the best player that I can become? Or you have guys like VJ or, Cooper Flag that have been putting in the work from day one to be one of the best players in this draft, to show you that they can be one of the best players in the league in the future. So, I love when the draft time comes. I love seeing guys follow their dream, chase their dreams, and put in the work to make it happen. That's what I'm all about on Analysis Playground, and I'm glad that guys are still doing it so the NBA can have so many great players, even in the future, that we grow up loving and watching, and allowing them to live out that dream and entertain us and have a lot of fun on the basketball court. That's all we can ask them to do as basketball players. Other than that, it's fun. I'm excited. The lottery really meant a lot to me. It really motivated me to put out my mock draft. I was thinking about not putting it out. I was thinking about not doing it this year, but so many people kept saying, "Are you doing it? Are you doing it? Are you doing it? Are you doing it?" Then I have a good feeling after the draft was, the lottery went. I'm like, well, might as well just go ahead and just put it out and see what people think. So other than that, comment, like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell for more analysis. And if you're new to the channel, do conversation videos just like this and various NBA only topics. Also do breakdowns with real footage of legends, current legends, rookies, and also future stars. Just like I did now, I also do my draft and draft coverage. So when the draft does happen, I will be going live and watching the draft with you guys and telling you my analysis as the draft continues to go on. I do that. They're already on my channel for previous drafts, so check out my videos because I have over 3,000 plus videos already on my channel that you can watch and enjoy. Plus, I upload every single day that I'm living, so I always give you something to watch about NBA basketball if you love it that much. If you're a hardcore fan, this is definitely the channel for you, and you will love it and enjoy it for the hard-nosed content that I make. Other than that, hope you guys having a blessed day. Hope you guys did your thing on the weekend. Hope you guys ready for the weekday grind. let's remember that let's make 2025 a better year than 2015. That was a big iconic year for this channel. It was a big successful year to give me a blueprint of what you guys want to see and what you guys want to watch throughout the entire year. And it worked out for me. And a lot of you guys are still here from that year. So it just show you that it ended up being a good year, even for my fans. Other than that, I'm going to continue to try to make the content you guys want to see. I got breakdowns and so many other things I got for y'all to look forward to as the year continues to go on, if it's meant for us to see it. Other than that, y'all stay blessed. Y'all have a good day. Y'all continue to grind like I am and just try to find a way to have a little happiness and a little bit of leisure and a little bit of fun in that day. Other than that, I'm gone for now. Peace. Y'all stay blessed up, and I'm gone. See y'all later. Today we'll end some more playoff coverage too. Peace.